everyone, and welcome. We will start by taking a look at the press and the most interesting items covering topics regarding women. We will also take a closer look on a successful young Egyptian woman. Her name is Ethar El-Katatney, a young journalist. She's only in her early 20s, but she achieved a lot of success. All this and more coming up.
Now we will go one-on-one with our profile guest today, Ethar El-Katatney, and see and listen to her story of success.
In profile today, we are honored to have with us a successful young Egyptian woman. She became successful only in her early 20s. She is a young journalist and she wrote about many issues, various issues covering many fields, issues that matter to her and to every Egyptian. Not only that, she also won 3 awards in almost 1 year, including an award from CNN. We have with us today Ethar El-Katatney. Good day, Ethar. How are you? I'm fine, thank you very much. Ethar, you graduated from the American University in Cairo and you majored in business. So, how did you start your career as a journalist?
Well, I've always loved to write. Like, I actually wrote one of my first book when I was like 9 or 8. It was like a little book called The Magic Door with like a cover. You know, when you're young, I want to be an author when I grow up. It didn't translate into journalism. But I was only 15 when I started university, and I had a very high grade point average. And everyone said, oh, you're very good, you should do business or engineering, you shouldn't do journalism or mass communication. So I listened to everyone. But then in my 3rd year, I got an opportunity. I was attending a lecture by Kofi Annan, and then I was calling a friend of mine who worked at the paper, and she was really angry. So I was like, what's wrong? She said that the journalist who was supposed to cover the event was late getting in, and because of security reasons, they wouldn't let him in. So now I don't have a reporter to write about his lecture, which is supposed to be a front-page story. I told her, don't worry, I'll write something for you. So that was when I actually realized that I really, really loved it. I really loved writing, and I really loved being a journalist, and actually getting across not just news to people, but awareness of issues. So I spent my last year at university working at the paper. I worked as a reporter, a columnist, a photographer. I did production. And then in my last semester, I was actually editor-in-chief of the paper. So even though I graduated without a degree in mass communication or journalism, I had 1 year's worth of experience of working on a paper. So when I came to actually look for a job, I was hired based on my experience at university. And then eventually I decided, once I'd worked for a year, to actually go back to university and do a master's degree in journalism to get the skills that I didn't get when I was an undergraduate.
You won an award from CNN for Best Article, and the title of that article was The Business of Islam. Tell me a little bit more about it.
Well, basically, this competition is called the CNN Multi-Choice African Journalist of the Year. It's open to any journalist in Africa, all the continent of Africa. I was participating in a program by the International Center for Journalists. They did a 3-month training program in Egypt. I won second place in that program. And then the director of the program, she told me, listen, I think your story is really good. You should send it into this competition. So I was like, you're kidding me, right? The CNN African journalist. But she sent me the application form, and I thought, why not? I'll send this story in and another story too. So the story actually that I won the award for the ICFJ, it was about hepatitis C in Egypt. But the story I sent in, Business of Islam, that was the story that won. And honestly, I never thought I could win because the competition's been going on for 15 years. And when I went online to look at the finalists and the winners of previous years, there had never been an Egyptian finalist even, not just a winner. There hadn't even been an Egyptian finalist. I thought it would be, I was 21, and I'm like, you're 21, I just started working. These are journalists who've been working for 20, 30 years. But then I got the call, and I flew to South Africa. My mom and my brother came with me. You fly in as a finalist, they choose 25 finalists, and then they choose 10 winners of each category. So I won the category of my story, The Business of Islam. It was basically, I'd gone to people whose products or services were somehow tied to religion, and I was trying to find out that they feel that there was a contradiction between offering a service for Muslims and at the same time making profit out of it. Things like, for example, pilgrimage in private jet. So,
luxurious pilgrimage trips.
Very luxurious. Or television preachers on TV who made millions of Egyptian pounds.
Yes.
This wasn't tied to it.
Islamic schools.
Islamic schools, Islamic veils, everything somehow the halal market.
The halal, which is very expensive. So everything that is related to religion, but yet it's business at the end of the day.
So is it just is business, or does the fact that it's tied to religion somehow made it? So alhamdulillah, I was really, really happy. It was amazing.
Was that your first award, or was the CNN your first award?
This is the first international award, alhamdulillah. Like I just said, the article, when I participated in the program, the International Center for Journalists, they basically had for Egyptian journalists this program where you work 3 months, you spend 3 months working on a story. My story was on hepatitis C, and I won second place in that competition. But the CNN award was my first.
What about the awards you won from Prince Albert of Monaco?
Basically, last year was a crazy year. I never thought that I could possibly, I write because I love to write, and I love to raise awareness about certain issues or to provoke thought and debate. I don't write just to inform. Like I don't think I'll ever be the journalist who writes, 10 people died today in an accident.
Yes.
It's necessary. I'm
Yes.
a journalist for that. But I'm more investigative. I like features.
Just like I said in the beginning when I was introducing you, issues that matter to you.
Issues that matter to me, and I always feel, by the way, when you're passionate about the issue, it'll actually make it a much better story. So basically, I'd written a story called Identity Crisis 101, and here I was just talking to Egyptians who were either, they were raised abroad and then they came back, or they had gone to Western schools like myself, or they've even just been really exposed to Western culture. This idea of being between cultures, being of having multiple identities, how this affects us in the positive and the negative sense.
Yes.
So the organization is called the Anna Lindh Foundation. Their base is actually in Alexandria. They have an office in 43 countries of the European Union and the Mediterranean. Their goal, they work on dialogue and cooperation and coexistence between different cultures. So they have this competition every year. It's open to any journalist from any country in the European Union or the Mediterranean. And they choose 5 winners. 1 print winner, 1 television winner, 1 radio, 1 internet. So, it was actually the same program director, subhanAllah, of the one who actually told me about the CNN award. She climbed a mountain, so I was Googling her. And then I found an article she'd written, and then at the very bottom, it was written, this article was runner-up in the Anna Lindh contest. So I was like, ooh, what's this? So I Googled it and I found it. And I'm like, same thing. I'm like, she won the runner-up. Akid, I'm not going to win. But I thought, why not send it in? So I sent it in, and then I actually got a call. And my mom's name is Ethar. I was named after her. So he called, and he's like, can I talk to Ethar? So she answered. She's like, and he's like, you won an award. And she's like, uh-huh. I thought it was one of those telephone operators, You know, it's like you won an award, you just have to pay.
Yeah, yeah.